Hey everybody, welcome to our live tasting. We're here in the barrel room. I'm going to walk you through some of these samples that you've gotten in the mail. I think Jason Passalacqua is going to be joining us here in a moment.
Sorry, I was just backstage getting my makeup done. Hey everyone, welcome. So hopefully you have your samples in front of you. We sent if you didn't, they're probably still in your mailbox, and that's probably not the best place for them. We're going to get them. Hopefully you have them in front of you. We're going to be tasting the Watson first, the Primitivo second, and the Cabernet third. And that's the order that they should have been sent to you. You should have received them in your package. Watson Ranch, for those of you who have not had this wine, it's probably one of the most classic, iconic Zinfandels that we make. It is North Dry Creek Valley on the western slope, really red soil, and that's something that as you drive through Dry Creek Valley next time, you will see, when you pay attention to soil types, you will see on our hillsides, which that's one of the things that makes Dry Creek Valley pretty distinct. And the red hillside, we've been up there walking rows, and you will find some large amounts of it in the vineyard. So, which indicates that the stream beds have shifted, the soil is really deep and fertile. It's a great vineyard. It's, as I said, North Dry Creek, Western Bench, red hillside soil, and these vines are really, really old vines. They're the kind. 77. Is that what, we've been in touch with the owners lately, re-upping the contract for this year, so constantly up there and learning new things about it. The vines, when you walk through them, the trunks are really big, the arms are really long. Those vines look like have seen their days and have some great stories to tell. But those are the type of vineyards that you look for when you're out buying grapes. They are, you know that the fruit's going to be intense. The regulations in the weather, heat and cold, really well, and just set a really great crop. So we really love this vineyard.
They've found balance. They've been there so long. They've found water. They've regulated the amount of fruit that they're carrying. They've just completely settled in.
And when you put your nose in the glass, hopefully you poured the wine in your glass, giving it some air, you can smell it.
And I hand bottled all these samples last week, and they're straight from these barrels. So do give it a swirl and give it a little bit of air. These wines are alive. So for me, the Watson Ranch is the most typical Dry Creek Valley. When I think Dry Creek Valley, this is what I think of. Really complex layers of dark fruit, deeper, darker profile, a little brambly. You can almost taste that red soil. Good depth, a nice, the palate isn't too structured, too tannic, just nice and soft, silky tannin.
Continues to hit its spot on. It's not really soft and flabby and overripe. It's got some good acids, a mixture of red ripe fruit and deep dark fruit, and it has the Dry Creek brambly spice to it that is unique to Dry Creek, and I think funny story about picking this Zin. When you're in the vineyard, we start at daybreak, so we want the fruit cold, sometimes before daybreak. We pick in these half-ton bins. You guys have probably seen them here at the winery or other wineries. And we have a table, kind of a piece of plastic, thick plastic that goes over between the two bins, and so you can dump the grapes on the table, and then Jessica and I can sort them. And last year they had 2 tractors, and so we had 2 trailers, which means 2 different crews, which means 2 tables, 2 sorting going on, and again hillside quickly. But when you're hand sorting fruit like we do, if you get into a bad spot in the vineyard, because what we're actually looking at every bunch that comes into this winery. So we'll see this ridge, and it's distinct because it is just scrub brush. I think we coined the term scrubbery earlier today. But it is scrub brush. And usually when I walk in a vineyard, I look around and look at the trees that are surrounding the vineyard. And if there are big trees, I know that the soil is deep. The roots run deep, there's water, it's fertile, it's generally good growing conditions. This ridge, I don't think has a big tree on the ridge. And that's why you'll see it when you're driving out, because to the south and to the north, there's big conifers and oaks. But this ridge probably has some of the worst soil in the Dry Creek appellation. However, what that's done for this wine has been fabulous. Those vines are really stressed. We get a really low crop out of them, low yield.
Normally we get 2 clusters per shoot that's coming off of a grapevine. So there's a woody stem left from last year's, and we get 2 green shoots coming off, and we get 2 clusters per shoot, or that's what we're striving for, or dropping fruit back to. The Primitivo, we get 1 cluster per shoot, sometimes none, every once in a while 2. So super concentrated.
And the bunches are really small, the berries are really small. So yeah, it is intense fruit. It's tasting a little perfumey today, which is nice.
Yeah, there's lavender planted all around the vineyard, and every year I pick up lavender on the nose.
So again, swirl it, give it some air, taste it, let it run over your palate.
The biggest question I get when we're doing barrel tasting, barrel sampling, selling features at the 2 events, barrel tasting and our passport, is how are these wines going to change from right now until bottling. And for me, I think the best way to describe it is everything just kind of comes together and integrates. I can't change the fruit profile that's there. It is what it is. It comes from the vineyard. It's not manipulated too much in the barrel. The barrel is just imparting a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of toasty character. But all those pieces, the oak, the fruit, the tannin, all just come together and integrate more, and the tannins will soften. It's just all come together a little bit more, have a bigger tannin structure.
Mm-hmm. Any questions while we're in the middle? These wines will be, good question, these wines will be bottled in July. Ones will be bottled in July and then released in March. So fall of 2018.
Yeah.
Okay, moving to the cab. I know you guys at home are jealous because you have a tube this big and I have a barrel this big.
You have good lunches.
Thank you.
This is a 2015, so the Zinfandel Primitivo you tasted were 16, so only been in barrel since September, beginning of October. This is a 15 cab that's had 18 months in barrel, and it's just about to go to bottle. So this is much more of the finished product.
Our cab program, we barrel age for like 22 months.
On the block and the blocks.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is a blend of blocks. So this is mostly block 18, 19, a little bit of block 4, a little bit of 23, and a tiny bit of 13 and 10. So
the cab range, for those of you who have not been here and seen the map, or even been out to the ranch and seen the topography, it's about 130 acres of Cabernet, broken into different sections. Jessica was mentioning blocks. We call those sections blocks. And the reason we did that is mainly for irrigation purposes, and especially in a ranch like this where, excuse me, nothing is flat. There's north, south, east, and west hill exposures. Road directions are running north, south, east, west, depending on the topography, which all means different soil types, which all means different draining profiles in the soil, which means that we need to be able to water them differently. One block might need water when another block might not. So what that gives Jessica is really, it's like a big artist's palette where she can go through the ranch and decide which blocks are tasting better at that point in harvest. Because it's Mother Nature and things change. So we do have our favorites: Block 1819, Block 4, Block 10 every now and then, Block 13 every now and then, Block 23. But we taste through the whole ranch, right up to harvest and during harvest to make sure we're not missing any of all sections. So the wine in your glass, the wine in our glasses, is a blend of multiple blocks. And I think some of you have probably tasted and purchased our Block Select wines that are just wines from the individual blocks. But again, this is a blend of multiple blocks.
Yeah, just to give you a representation of the kind of Cabernet that comes from this ranch. And I'm really excited that it's just going to bottle really soon, because I think it's at its peak in the barrel. The fruit is really, for me, bursting for a Cabernet. There's tons of blue fruit. It's really integrated with the oak right now. It's just in a great spot. It's the perfect time to put it to bottle, so it's kind of very exciting.
Did you hear that question? It was how long would this age?
So our cabs are made to age 10, 15 years. So this has some length in it. Our Zinfandels, another good question. I get a lot of how long should we age the Zins? And for me, I love Zin for its fruit. And that's what starts to wane quickest when you're aging a wine and aging Zinfandel. So I tend to love Zins in that 3 to 5 year from vintage date, because I love that bright fruit profile. After that, 5 to 7 years, it just starts to tail off. It's kind of like a bell curve. It's always interesting to see the secondary characters and what they turn into, but I love big, juicy, bright fruit. So.
I agree. I like acid in my wines and structure, so I'm a 3 to 5.
And these cabs are aged longer in barrel, in thinner stage oak, in 100% French oak, and all these things that we're doing are to...
It's just the nitrogen blow off. Everybody went, did you hear that?
I put it outside. It's still making noise. Yeah, so the oak program, everything we're doing is to make the Cabernet last longer in the bottle, not just on made age.
One of the things I love, getting out of the wines, but love about this program is the ability that it gives us to allow you to taste the wines that are not, when you don't live around the corner from the winery and can't just come here for our events. I've heard it from many of you in our club and on our list that say, geez, we get the emails for your events, but we're not able to make it. So we sat down and thought, long and hard about how we could come up with some ways to bridge that gap, and short of throwing one of these guys in a plane and bringing it to your doorstep, sending the samples is close, and doing the live video calls or recording calls is our option. So we hope you're really enjoying them. Any other questions from anyone?
There's a question about which are only available as futures, Jason.
Which are only available. So our futures program is made up of 4 wines, 3 of which are only available as futures. One gets preferential pricing for futures, and that's the Cabernet. So the 3 wines that are only available as futures are the Bevel Heirloom Zinfandel, the Watson Zinfandel, which you tasted, and the Primitivo, which you tasted. The Cabernet is available as futures, I said, with preferential pricing as futures. And it's sold by the case again, and will be released this November. But it will also be available. You'll get 1 or 2 bottles in your wine club shipment, and will be available at a higher price later after November.
And a follow-up question to that, Jason, is the Bevel available for purchase?
The Bevel is available for purchase. I believe it is in the order. As you have, those of you who have participated in the program do have an order in the private section of our website that you can log into and look at the order and fill it out as you see fit. Any other questions for us right now? If any pop in your head as you're sitting back, if you log off and you're enjoying the wine, you can always call the winery, email Sue, email me, call me. You're not really reachable, so don't call Jessica. Anyway, Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed the wines.
Cheers.
Cheers.